Good evening, my name is Mary Wong and I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner and acupuncturist. Welcome to my live fertility post number 7, and this is the second part of two-part series. I am discussing tonight about how to cope with anxiety and depression, giving you good sound strategies in how you do that. And last week I did talk about how to recognize your symptoms of anxiety and depression. So go through that next time so you can have an overview, but let's talk about the strategies. Well, first of all, when we look at depression, the very common and the most traditional way to treat it is through antidepressants. And as most of you may know, trying to conceive, we want to avoid as much as possible taking any kind of medication. And what you need to know is that just a little bit of drugs for you may have an effect on the growing, developing embryo or fetus. So how do we navigate that? Well, first of all, I want to say that we do want to avoid it, and there are strategies, and I am going to discuss that with you. But before I do that, I also want to allude to the fact that sometimes we may require some sort of intervention that is drug related. So I've had instances where women have severe forms of depression where they would consult, and I would highly recommend this, you would consult your prescribing physician to see what kind of dose you can be able to manage with while you're trying to conceive and while you're pregnant, so that it may not have a negative impact on a developing baby. Now, I'm going to talk to you about this study found in 2015. They saw that both continuous use of antidepressants and untreated major depression during pregnancy increased the incidence of premature delivery with all the potential accompanying health risks. So what that means is that left untreated and you have a major sort of depression, it will impact birth. It may impact the health of the developing baby, causing premature birth, and of course with that there's an impact on their health. So really you have to weigh the odds, right? So either taking it or not taking it may have an impact. So again, speak to your prescribing physician about that. So as I say in my book here, if you have major depression, going off antidepressants may pose a greater risk for your mental and physical well-being than staying on them, and may put your baby at risk once you are pregnant. So it is time to check in with a physician and see where you're at. Now, if you have a mild form of depression, and unfortunately even the most well-balanced person and the most in control person may have some sort of anxiety and depression, and that may just even be for over like a 2-3 week period, but relevant enough that can impact your life. And sure enough, most people that have fertility challenges, they may be going through issues for not just a couple of weeks, it may be for months at a time, so, or even years. So imagine navigating your fertility world with those challenges can impact the way you are, and when we get impacted, it may impact the way you conceive as well, right, or having a healthy pregnancy to term. So speaking of which, now let's look at thrival skills to cope with anxiety and depression. So you basically want a little bit of control back, and it's difficult to keep control of your life, and as it is, but it's certainly much more challenging when you're having issues with fertility and you seem to have no control. So how do you get a little bit of control back? Well, one is by changing your perspective, and that is, you know, when you're finding yourself with constant pessimism and guilt and hopelessness and anger, or on another side of it is the self-blame. You know, when you don't get pregnant month after month, or when you have miscarriages or a miscarriage, there's an often sense of self-blame. And let's look at trying to deal with it another way. So, for example, I'm going to go back to my book. This is a casual conversation. So I'm going to tell you. Back to your eggs are old. Well, your belief system may be that there's nothing we can do about it. Oh my gosh, woe is me. I am old. And that in of itself is depressing. But just know that your eggs and the environment that it grows in over the 120 days that it starts out from a germ cell to the ovulating egg, well, we can impact it through the environment that it is surrounded by. So think of them as flowering seeds. And in Chinese medicine, we say, when you nourish the soil and cultivate it before planting the seed, then there's a potential that it may grow healthily, which means then you may have healthier eggs, which increases your chances of conception to a live birth. And so the other thing is, like, if you have a lowered ovarian reserve, it's not like you cannot ever get pregnant. It's just that the numbers are lower. Maybe the percentage may be lower, but again, when I talk about creating an environment that will help it, shifting from that perspective, maybe there's a little bit more hope, right? So next, number 2, very important, is community. And I've mentioned it again, and I'll keep on mentioning it. When you're going through fertility challenges, it's important to create a community of support. And I find that women and couples these days, there's a tendency of like, boy, we are in control and we need to be doing everything alone. Like, I can get my job done well and I don't need anybody's help. But in truth, how people survive, or let's look at it this way. What is his name? Tiger Woods. He was the best golfer in the world. And he didn't get that way by himself. He needed a coach around him. His father was there to get him through the process, and then he became number 1. Well, even when it comes to creating a baby, just know that you don't have to be alone in this, and you can have a coach, if you will. And in this case, it may be more something like a support group, or whether it's online. And if it's online, then I would say it has to be moderated by a professional so you don't go crazy. And I discussed that last week. And the community may also involve like actual support group, whether it's live or online. And then also health professionals like counselors. Next, number 3, I would say meditation and learning to breathe. And that you can find online, or you can go to meditation groups. There are even supportive meditation groups that are for fertility specifically, so that can work. And in that, then you'll also find women and couples that are of like-mindedness and fully get who you are. So that's important. Number 4, you can add in visualization. So similar to meditation, but now you're going through your mind and envisioning places where it can calm you. And just by being in the present moment, it may help you to feel more light, if you will. And rather than being stuck in your head, you're going within your body and checking in with that, which may decrease your stress level, which then will decrease your anxiety level, which will decrease your depression. And it's by doing all these things very consistently, and even if it's moments of feeling less depressed, less anxious, less stressed, that can have an impact on your hypothalamus, to your pituitary, to your ovaries, and your uterus, to have you more receptive to have a baby. Another thing that can help with that too would be exercise. Exercise can certainly help with decreasing the stress hormones as well. And part of anxiety and depression, there's a whole chemical imbalance. And so if we increase the feel-good hormones, then that can impact our state of emotions. So on top of that, of course, finding things that can make you laugh just, again, can take the edge off how you feel. So I usually say do something like find funny movies, read funny magazines, like that. And then number 7, I always look at food, because you might have heard of the expression, you are what you eat. So unfortunately, when a person's quite depressed, you tend towards the foods that make you feel good. And those kinds of foods typically can be more like sweets or chips, and those things are not necessarily the best for fertility. So set yourself up, get yourself ready, so that even when you're not feeling so great, you can at least go into the fridge and find something that's a bit more healthy to eat. So instead of like going straight to your bonbons, you can maybe find some hummus and carrots or something in the fridge. Soothing soups, always nice. But set yourself up eating more whole foods that you prepare on your own, hopefully. And if not, then maybe finding locations, even the takeout, where you can get healthier options, because they are available. Like, I know I'm a working person, and sometimes I'll admit I'm not cooking. And when I don't, I find vendors that cook on the premises, pardon me, where they make whole foods. So do that. And then lastly, of course, I have to plug this in, acupuncture and herbal medicines can certainly help with anxiety and depression if you're able to sneak away. And one thing to look at is it's giving yourself permission to do something really good for yourself. That feels good. All right, so that's pretty well it. That covers it for today. And seeing as how I'm not having any comments, I will be signing off. Next week, do tune in, and I will be sharing my personal story, and hopefully it will provide you some hope and have you acknowledge the fact that you are not alone in this, and I do fully get your story, and again, there is hope. Now, one exciting news, next Thursday morning, I'm going to be interviewed on a new show on CTV called Your Morning, and it's hosted by Anne-Marie Meadowake, who is a 6 p.m. anchor for years at CBC, and she is teamed up with Ben Mulroney. So that is very exciting, and I'll be talking about how we can help to navigate work while we're going through fertility challenges. So please tune in next week. Please tune in next Thursday morning at 8 a.m. on CTV for Your Morning. And please like my page and scroll down, get as much of the information as you can. You can check out my website, www.marywong.life. And I shall see you next time, same bat channel, Wednesday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye for now. Until next time.